In the comments, people were just going absolutely insane. Like, how could you say this? And it's almost like as if you were insulting somebody's religion. But what's your view on the cult-like mentality that is surrounding ICT at the moment?
I would also be in the comment section saying that you are fake and you don't know what you're talking about and all that. I don't think you need to have a really high IQ to be a profitable trader. I don't think so. Like, the liquidity is provided by the banks, okay? So if you lose money, someone else is making money. You are in a highly competitive business. If you are not disciplined, then someone that is more disciplined than you, they will eat your lunch. Okay, if this is now out there, make of it what you want.
Welcome everyone. In today's video, we have a podcast with the one, the only Kimmel Trading. We're going to be chatting to Raphael about his journey on trading, prop firms, his trip to Miami recently where he met up with literally all of the biggest players in the trading and prop trading space. We chat about how he's managed to stay disciplined this whole way. And it's really one heck of a ride. I followed Kimmel from the beginning, from when he literally had 100 to 200 subscribers, all the way to where he is right now, and still being one of the biggest influences in my journey as a trader and content creator. I think we're going to get some serious value out of this podcast. And to those of you who really enjoy this podcast and get some value from it, please do subscribe down below and let me know what you think about the video and who you want to see in future videos. So let's crack on with the video. At the beginning of your journey, before all of this trading stuff started, before your whole journey kicked off, what was, your life like? When did you start firstly? And like, did you study further after school as well? And how did, a lot of people's journeys start when they're in college and that kind of thing. How did it start for you?
I have a very interesting story actually about it that I've never said it on the podcast, I believe. And it is that I started trading when I was 18. I was very lucky that I started trading when I was 18. And more so closer to 19, but it was when I was 18. And I went to the UK to study in management and leadership because I didn't have the grades to enter in Portugal, and I really wanted to go abroad to study there. And I was always very addicted to video games, and I had a gaming computer, I had everything. And in my mind, as an 18-year-old, I always thought as a 17-year-old, if I have a MacBook, that means that I am a professional. And so I sold everything I had, I bought a MacBook, and I went to the UK to study. And so when I was in the UK, I was like, okay, now I'm in the UK, which gives me more opportunity than Portugal, and I have a MacBook, which means that now I'm a businessman. And because of that, I started looking for ways to make money online. But while I was doing that, I was also, as soon as I got into the UK, I was looking at a job. Like, I wanted a job and I wanted to do uni. Those two things were guaranteed. Got a job and I was in uni for 2 years. I ended up dropping out in the second year because of trading, but we can dig a little bit deeper into university a little bit after. But yeah, then I found trading. First of all, it was through a friend that introduced me to a guy that was providing Forex signals. And then I blew like 800 pounds, which was the amount of money I would make in a month. But either way, blew 800 pounds, and I was like, how am I going to do this? Because it looks nice to make money out of your phone. And so I went onto YouTube, tried to look up what this Forex thing was, and I saw Hannah and Michael Bamber talking about Falcon, the first community that I was in. And I messaged Hannah, and I was very lucky that she responded. She wasn't as big back then, and then she responded with a very thorough response. And that's why I personally, when people ask me for a review of a community, I also send a very thorough response because of what Hannah did. And so I got into Falcon, got into trading, and that's how everything started going. And yeah, I ended up dropping out on the second year. Would I do it again? I would say no. I probably wouldn't drop out again. But yeah, either way, everything went well, and I'm happy to be here.
Why do you say you wouldn't drop out again, out of interest?
I don't know. I think it's like dropping out of uni is a big risk. And a lot of people would probably are ready to put in the comments, oh, but pressure builds diamonds. And like, is it really that case in trading? because trading is not the same as other businesses. Let's say that you have YouTube, or let's say that you have a social media agency. The more calls you make, the more emails you send, and the more videos you put out, probably the higher the output you are going to get, like more views, more responses, more conversion. But in trading, that's not the same. In trading, it doesn't, just because you are putting 20 hours of working every single day, it doesn't mean that you are going to get better results. It is in the short term, like the more you learn, the better you are going to get at it. But in the long term, like right now, if I'm trading for 16 hours a day, then I'm probably losing more than I'm making. So if I am thinking about this, I would say I would stay in uni for the short term, just finish the uni degrees to have a backup plan. Because trading, like, you can't simply tie it in with university. So I would just keep doing that unless you are getting into huge amounts of debt. Like, if someone is watching from America, just know that if you are getting drowned in debt, then okay, I understand why you would want to, well, not finish the degree. But like here in Portugal, the degree costs like 80 euros per month. It's really cheap. So I would probably stick to it. And I was lucky to the sense that I had YouTube, I had a backup plan, and I had some, like, my parents would help me, like, if there was any need. I would get a job, obviously, but I would simply stay in uni because of that exact same case, that trading is not the input equals output. Trading is like quality input of like 1-2 hours a day of solid work equals a good output. It's not the same as any other business.
So a lot of people ask me, what is my favorite prop firm to use? And the answer is simple. It's Blue Guardian. Blue Guardian has the best prop firm conditions of any prop firm I've used to trade with. And they allow you to take an unlimited amount of time to pass their evaluation. Not only this, but they give you the Guardian Protector, which is a tool that stops you from hitting your max daily loss. You can also set it further down to stop you from over trading for that day. It simply cuts off your MT4 account and you can't continue to trade if you hit more than that loss. If you want to use the prop firm that I use, click the link down below and use the code GARTRADES to get 10% off your purchase. Let's continue with the video. Right, and do you think that that whole experience of going to the UK and living there and kind of being in that situation where you were like, hey, should I pursue trading full time or should I keep studying? Do you think that that whole situation sort of molded you more as a trader like now?
That's an interesting question, because one of the things that I always thought is that I got amazing values from the first community that I was in. But now looking back, I'm like, God damn, like this first community taught me that, okay, I have to go. They didn't tell me that I have to go full time, but the beliefs that I got was like, no, this can be a full-time career. I'm going to pursue private investment and so on. And so I was a little bit more, I took more risks because of it. But did it shape me? 100%, because it showed me how hard you have to work towards achieving your dreams, in a sense. And so, like, every time I was working, going to uni and going into trading, it really built the resilience into being able to pursue this in the long term. So the amount of work that I put in the early days after the job and after uni, that's what got me here now. Like, some people say, oh, who is someone that you have to thank? Of course, my parents, always. And then I also have to thank my old self. I look at the YouTube videos that I was doing before, and I'm like, God damn, I really have to thank this person that is recording the videos 3 years ago, because he is the reason that I'm here today. With the amount of work that I'm putting in right now, I would not go as far as I did like in the last 3 years. So the resilience that I got from the first 3 years was what propelled me to success now. To success. I don't like to call myself successful, because that can easily make you complacent. I just think that the resilience got me to where I'm at right now.
Right, and you mentioned like you were in a few different communities. I've been following your journey for a really really long time, and obviously their methodologies vary vastly. Um, what, in your opinion, did you gain from? Because there was more like three different schools of thought. Obviously, one community, two community, and thirdly, I mean, I guess you're kind of doing your own thing based on ICT methodology. What kind of, in terms of mindset, what kind of shift did you see in mindset from going from your first community, which I don't know if I want to mention the names, but first community to the second community, and then where you are at right now?
I think that the biggest perception shift that I had was that in the first community, I had this big cult mentality. And I'm not saying this to bash the community or whatever, because they really helped in my journey. And if there's something that I'm not proud of myself that I did before, was like actually sometimes speaking against this community, and I wouldn't do it again. Like, I just wouldn't recommend it, whatever. Well, I would to begin. Whatever, I'm diverging. But I was in a cult mentality, and when I shifted to the next community, I was more open to new things in trading. And so when I moved from the first to the second, I felt this big burden in my shoulders, just thinking, God, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? And now looking back, like, going through all these communities and changing through these communities and everything that each of them taught me separately is, again, one of the reasons I'm here today, because I had this shift in mentality. Now I'm open to new things. If you tell me that you trade support and resistance, and if I want to maybe increase my strike rate or whatever, then this open mindset that I now have is going to allow me to maybe change, because the market is constantly evolving. Can you stick to the same thing over and over and over and over again and be profitable? I would say so, but some small tweaks need to be implemented. And this shift in mentality from fixed based into growth based was the biggest changer in my trading in a long time. That was one of the biggest shifts.
Right, and obviously within the space right now, I mean, it's no secret you're basically trading ICT concepts mainly. In the ICT world, there's a lot of this cult mentality, though. Like, there's a really, really big cult mentality. What's your view on the cult-like mentality that is surrounding ICT at the moment?
Yeah, it's true. It does happen, and a lot of people swear by it. I don't, and what I would say is that the same they think of ICT the same way that I thought about the first community that I was in, and that I had the cult mentality. If you would have come onto YouTube when I was in the first community and you would talk down on them, I would also be in the comment section saying that you are fake and you don't know what you're talking about and all that. But I understand that a lot of people have this fixed mindset. Why? Also because ICT says it. If your mentor says this is the only way to go, and I'm a genius, well, that's not really what he says, but he says that this is the only way to go, then of course people that look up to him are going to regurgitate that. And that's fine, because again, I use his teachings. I don't like to listen to people that, for example, talk down on it, just because I'm very agreeable, and with that, like, I just don't want to, this is something bad, but I don't really want to see other people's perspectives that goes against mine. This is really, really bad, I know. But like, I understand why people do it, but I think that in a couple of years, when people are profitable traders, they will understand that everything kind of works. And so, like, everything is kind of like a break and retest strategy at the end of the day. But yeah, like,
it's a different take on break and retest.
I understand why people do it. I don't agree with it, but hey, people are entitled to their opinions. I just stay away from all the drama. Like, I was in drama not long ago, but I just stay away of it. Like, I don't care.
What do you think attracted you to ICT in the beginning, though?
I think that it's funny that I have to thank Hannah twice for showing me something. And when Hannah was when Hannah was talking about ICT, and she was saying, "Oh, this is," I was watching her videos every single time, and I was like, "Damn, this is very similar to what I'm learning." And it was SMC with like 2 or 3 pip stop, and I was like, let me see what this is. Started seeing the 2022 mentorship, and I directly liked it. And once again, it goes down into me being super agreeable, right? Because ICT in the 2022 mentorship, he was saying, this is the only thing that works. Like, this is profitable, it doesn't matter. And I was like, yeah, this is profitable. And I started implementing it. And I was like, oh yeah, I feel comfortable with this. And I also had this confidence boost from someone being so confident talking about their own strategy. And then I started backtesting it, testing it out, seeing it applied in the live market. And I was like, oh yeah, this actually works, and I am confident with it. And so that's why I got attracted to sticking to it. So I got attracted to looking at it through Hannah, but then actually sticking through it was seeing it play out in the live market and me being comfortable with the way that it was playing out in the live market.
Right, and ICT has a ton of stuff. I mean, he has a ton of content online. How did you manage to get through so much damn content and, pick up all of the actual golden nuggets that actually matter? Because, I mean, obviously there's so many different episodes to his education, and I had the same sort of struggle when I was learning ICT. Did you find that there were like quite a few like third-party educators that learned from him and then retaught stuff in their own kind of formulation, or did you just kind of just blanket, kind of like what Hannah did, go through everything and just like slog through the whole thing and got it firsthand? Because for me, I just learned from people that had already learned it, and then I took what worked and I just applied it to what I did at the moment.
Yeah, personally, there's this one thing that Naval always says, Naval Ravikant, which is, if you want to truly learn something, go to the source of it. And it's not that ICT is the source of whatever he's teaching. Like, I just think that if I'm trading the way that ICT is teaching, that I want to go to the source of it, because else you're looking at someone else's perspective on what ICT was teaching. And so I always went to the source. So I always went to ICT's channel. I learned from there, and that's how I learned. Now, how did I do it? Well, the secret to learning ICT is I studied one thing at a time. I studied the 2022 mentorship first, then he started coming out with the 2023 mentorship, and I saw like the first or second episode, and he said, okay, watch this, and this before coming into the 2023 mentorship. And I had just finished the 2022 mentorship. And so because of that, I was like, okay, so what I am going to do now is I'm going to watch everything that he said and the core content. And so I watched 2022 mentorship, then I watched the other ones, the market primer, forex scalping series, and those small playlists. But then I went into the core content. And another secret to learn ICT is that you need to apply one thing at a time and then slowly tweak it. So I learned the 2022 mentorship and I started applying it. Fair value gaps, that's basically one of the few things that I traded for a long time. Then I wasn't too happy with the way that I was reading the market, like my bias was sometimes wrong and so on. I was like, okay, there must be something else here. And I went into the core content and I saw the order blocks and the daily bias theory. And I was like, okay, so now let's apply this. And now that's basically how I've been trading, and I've been super comfortable with it. But again, I learned one thing at a time and I took my time. This is the problem. People want to go into, okay, so Casper right now is teaching how to do this. Okay, so I'm going to do this. It's like, no, just one thing at a time, slowly but surely, because people want it like this. Oh, okay, Casper released a video. Perfect. Buy a challenge. Go to my Forex funds, buy a challenge. Okay, boom. No, that's not how it works. That's not how you become a trader. You do one thing at a time and you do it consistently. So that's what I did. That's really the secret to learn ICT, is just take your time. Not only ICT, but every single thing. Take your time with trading.
Yeah, and I think it's also to do with that fact that people want, they're more focused on the output of what happens and what they're doing. They're wanting an outcome from what they're doing immediately, rather than actually focusing on the process of learning and the process of trading. Rather, they want the strategy that makes them a profit most of the time. So I can jump onto the market right now, apply the strategy today, and make money. But obviously that's not how it works. And I think that also it's been indoctrinated into us to some degree, because we're just so used to having everything quickly. We can have food delivered instantly without going outside. We can have, pornography, whatever we want is available like instantly. We don't have to work for most things. We just click a button and it's there. So people obviously apply that to what we're doing immediately. And I think that that's what's messed people up essentially. But I think as well, in general, having life be so easy in general for a lot of people has forced people into like a comfort zone heavily. And I think that that's also why that there's not that many, there's going to probably be less and less successful traders as time goes by, because the world's getting softer and softer. And obviously being soft in the market is not something that will serve you at all. You're not going to make it. So what I always say is to harden yourself. And even if you do start off to some degree soft, if you've got a strong enough why for why you're doing this, you will hang on, and eventually you will harden yourself and become more resilient. For me, for example, when I started out my journey, I was very soft. I was not the person that you want to be getting into a trading career, because my psychology wasn't right. I had all of the worst traits you could possibly have, but because I had my motivation really deeply rooted in something that was going to make me hang on, and my why was really strong, I hung on until I hardened myself and I was able to push through. What do you think for you is that thing that made you hold on through the tough times and made you push through?
I think that the thing that made me hold on was simply understanding that if someone is able to do it, then I'm able to do it too. It doesn't matter. Like, if there is someone being profitable, that means that it is consistently being profitable and showing the profits, then you can do this also profitably. Like, the people that I've met that are people that I look up to, they simply prove themselves to be human. So they're just human. I'm a human, which means that if they're profitable, then I can be profitable too. Like, I don't think you need to have a really high IQ to be a profitable trader. I don't think so. So everyone that I met was always an average person that was profitable with trading. And so I was like, if they can do it, then I can do it. And that was always what made me stick. And then it's the fact that it's so easy in a way to do it. So trading is easy in the fact that, okay, you show up, you stick to your rules, you are disciplined, and if you are good at what you're doing, then you will be profitable. It's like, it's the hardest way to make easy money. I don't remember who said it, but this is not my quote, but it's the hardest way of making easy money. And so since I had this in mind, and I always wanted to do business, I always wanted to own a business, I was like, okay, this is the way that I see me doing and becoming successful in the short term or medium term. So that's what always made me hang on. It's like, it's going to be the cliche thing of, oh, I never wanted to work a 9 to 5, whatever. But it's, in a way, it's true. But at the end of the day, it was really this motivation of doing something that is highly scalable and that average normal people with not a lot of capital can do. So that's what always made me stick.
So do you think it was more a thing of, hey, other people are doing it, why the hell can't I do it? Or do you think there was even a deeper reason as to why? What is that like dream that you're holding on to? I mean, obviously there's an end goal, and like we say, most people are focused on output of the outcome. But for you, like, whenever you thought about giving up, what was that one thing that stopped you from giving up?
I think that the one thing that always made me stick was the fear of not like this is going to sound, again, this sounds cliche, but like it's the fear of being average. Like, and I've I don't know if I want to say this, to be fair, but it's like I never had a lot of attention when I was younger. Like, I never was like the first guy being picked to play sports or whatever. I was always almost one of the last guys, and I think that this was one of the ways to make me stand out. It's like I wrote this in a journal. I haven't read it back, but I want to go and read it back, which is, I want to be successful so I can be appreciated. And it's a bad reason to do it, but it's the truth. Like, the way that you get attention is putting yourself out there, and I think that's one of the reasons that I do it too. And then I had that was one of my fears. So one of the fears going back is like being average, because again, my idea is if I'm average, I'm not being picked, and always wanting to excel at something. And trading and social media was the way that I found my enjoyment to do, so I could do business and do something that I always loved, because I was always a finance guy. I always loved numbers and I always loved finance. And like, trading kind of is a mix of both. You have data of your trades and you have finance of the whole industry being based on finance. And so that was what made me stick the whole way through. And I don't know, like, okay, if this is now out there, make of it what you want, but what I can say is that everyone has their own insecurities. And so if someone is now like, oh my God, I didn't know you felt this way. Well, now you know. So I'm human too. And again, if I can do it, then the people, fuck, this is so like cliche to say, but it's true. But it's true. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I also find myself on a lot of podcasts like, oh, damn, that was really corny. Like, but it's true. That's the only way to describe it. It's been said so many times, but there's a reason. It's because it's true. The other thing that strikes me about you, dude, is like just your like discipline. Like, you're a crazy disciplined person, in my opinion. Like, since I started watching your channel, since there was like literally like 200 subscribers to your channel, you posted super often. So not just on, obviously the trading side, but you could tell it shines through on your, your social media and your discipline to post and to be consistent in your social media. What were you always disciplined? Were you always like showing up every day? Like, was that a trait that you've always had, or was it something that you worked on and developed over time?
No, the discipline side was what came after I started in my first community, but because discipline was key in the first community. So setting daily goals, setting quarterly goals, and sticking to it every single day in order to be successful. That was the picture that I had in my mind from the first community. Because before, I was never really disciplined. Again, I was addicted to video games. I wasn't good at school, and I went to the UK just for the sake of it, because I wasn't that great in school. And so the discipline came after I saw the possibility of success in a niche, and that niche was trading. And if I want to be successful in trading, then I need discipline. And so if you have a why, you'll understand that the discipline is going to be there. It's like, okay, if you have to put food on the table for your kids, do you think you're not going to wake up tomorrow to go to work and make money? Of course you are. Even if it's a 9 to 5, like there is no, oh, I don't feel like doing it, when there's a why behind it. And my why is what I've stated before, and finally finding a meaning towards that why. And that's what made me disciplined. So that's the key there. It's like finally tying a possible career path that you're going for with a big goal that you have. And you will understand that only through discipline will you get there. And so in the beginning, discipline was crucial. And I was always very tough on myself and very true to myself. I was always like, okay, consistency is the way to go. So I used to always wake up early, always do all the processes, etc. Always go to the gym, whatever it is. Now I'm slacking a little bit more. But before, that's why I say that I have to thank the old me. The old me did like 90% of the heavy lifting. So the discipline was always there after joining the first community, and it was a crucial part of my success. And it's like, if you're not waking up every day and you are going to the charts to learn what your craft, then you are in for a treat, because this is not an easy game. And this is what I tell people. It's like, the liquidity the liquidity is provided by the banks. Okay, so if you lose money, someone else is making money. That means that if you lose money, someone else again is making money. So what do you want to do? You are in a highly competitive business. You need to be prepared to whatever it is that you're doing. And so if you are not disciplined, then someone that is more disciplined than you, they will eat your lunch, because this is an eat your lunch type of game. So that's why I've always been disciplined in that regard. And so, yeah, crucial part of success. And also understanding with YouTube, because you touched on the content side, it's like the discipline. I've always understood that consistency is the way to go. And even though like I haven't had the best journey in YouTube, like I see people now going viral and so on, and I have this organic growth. Could I change it? Of course, and I think I'm making steps towards it, but the consistency is what got me here. So every single day for the last 3 years, posting one video a week. If I say that I'm posting a video a week, then I am posting one video a week. It doesn't matter. Even if it's a sorry, I don't have anything to post. Here is me rambling. It has happened, but it's like showing up every day with a video, because that's what you set out to do. And it's these small things. If you say that you are going to the gym, then go to the fucking gym. If you say that you're doing fasting and it's going to be until 12 a.m. on UK time, which is what I do, then don't be eating food at 11:50 because, oh, it's just 10 minutes. It's not 10 minutes. It's what you did in order to eat. It's like you found an excuse. So no excuses and go for it. Like that's what I've always did. It's like no excuses. I wake up when I say I'm going to wake up. I eat when I say that I'm going to eat, and I go to the gym when I say that I'm going to the gym. The same thing with trading. If you're not disciplined, then, oh, there's a possible trade here. It's not in my plan, but it's a trade. And then these small habits compound, and then you mess everything up.
Right, and it's crazy because there's so many moments in what you're saying here that I'm like, holy crap, that's exactly me. Like literally when it comes to, before your trading journey, I mean, myself included, I was not a disciplined person whatsoever. That was the hardest thing for me to work on. And in fact, it's probably one of the most important things, because as we know, trading is something that will literally beat you down until you either evolve or die. You're either going to tap out or you're going to keep pushing through. And so for me, like, it's exactly the same thing. Before I started my journey, I was stuck in a really crappy job, and I worked retail and it was rubbish. I would go home, just want to play video games and forget about everything. And I was obsessed with just playing video games, going to work, making money to just buy whatever, like buy a video game, maybe go out to a bar, go drinking, whatever you want. And then just keep living that same life. But it's crazy because, in being that whole video game addicted, just looking to, distract yourself from the reality of life. Once you start to develop this whole new journey and this whole new purpose, and essentially you're taking on this whole new challenge, which is trading and social media. And once I started to find some success in what I was doing and I started to become motivated, I was lucky in that for me, social media kind of kicked off pretty quickly. I mean, I've literally been on YouTube for like 4 months, 5 months. And I don't know how it happened, but I mean, I grew really fast. And, I was lucky in that because who knows, maybe I wouldn't have taken to it as much as I would have if I didn't have that response. And for you, I remember seeing you posting videos constantly, and you weren't always getting the highest amount of views. And I'm like, you're still showing up every week. You're not getting, 10,000 views. You're not getting, sometimes you were just getting 1,000 views or whatever. And I was just like, wow, this guy keeps showing up. That's why I think a lot of people liked you. They were like, this is really inspiring. But one thing that I found interesting, and it's something that Jordan Peterson said the other day, and he said that there's a lot of people that are, a lot of kids nowadays that are obsessed with battling dragons and in dungeons, digital dungeons, and fighting monsters. And the reason for that is because they're not fighting those monsters and in dungeons in their real life. They're moving all of their effort from something that is real. You could be in your real life pushing for things and fighting to get somewhere in life, or you could just push all of that effort to something that's completely not real and not going to get you anywhere. And the weird thing is, once I started this whole journey and I started to find success, all of that fell away. I love video games. I loved it. But I can't find time in my day to go and sit and play video games. It just doesn't feel entertaining to me anymore. My life is now turned into what I want to live. I don't want to escape my life. And it's a weird thing. Like I used to love video games, and now I can't do it. I just can't. It doesn't feel entertaining for me. Like, what was your experience? I'm curious to know if it was similar.
Yeah, it was. I always enjoyed video games. Like I was even not long ago, I was sometimes playing and I was like, this is extremely addicting. But I was lucky that I bought a new monitor and the video game just doesn't work here. And I was like, oh, thank God, I can uninstall it and whatever. But yeah, definitely that in the beginning of the trading journey, I was like, there's no time. I wake up at 5 a.m. I work until 6:30 because then I have to go to my job. Then I have to go to uni. And when I'm home at 7 p.m., I have to do the uni assignments and I have to finish the trading processes and learning and everything. So there was no time. Since there was no time, I just, was working the whole time. And it doesn't matter. Like, if you have a lot to do and you have a purpose behind it, you will simply fall out of those bad habits when you are constantly stacking proof that this is what you want to do. And so every single day, that's what I was doing. I was stacking proof that this is what I want to do. And that's why now, like, I don't feel the urge to play. I just love what I do. I love trading. I love the YouTube. I love all the business side of things. And so it was something that simply happened that I just didn't find any more fulfillment from it. Like, I guess maybe I previously did, but like I don't find fulfillment from playing games. Now you're kind of in this grind mentality. So in a way, it feels bad when you are playing video games because it's like, oh, I'm not doing anything productive. And yeah, it's just like I found the money game. And now I'm just playing the money game. I'm playing the business game. I'm playing the life game. It's a whole different beast. So that's where I'm trying to level up. It's not in any ranking system in CSGO. It's in life.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, man, because that whole thing just disappears. And I think because a lot of people use video games and whatever it is, like partying, drinking, as an escape. But when you start to actually live the life that you've envisioned for yourself, all of that just falls away. Like, people say, hey, it's like a hobby and like, this is what I do. I love it. But for me, I'm like, I can't run those things side by side anymore. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I was to change the subject, I was watching, I think it was Iman Gaji's new video, and he was saying that there's a whole bunch of moments in your journey where you kind of have these inflection points and where you figured something out that completely changes the game for you. Where in your journey do you think you've had those inflection points? And obviously there's been many, but are there any that you can remember that that really shaped and changed your whole trajectory as a trader and as a content creator? Okay.
So one of my biggest inflection points in these previous years was the first one was definitely goal setting. The time I started setting goals was the biggest shift that I had in my life, because all of a sudden you need to understand that the reason why goal setting is so important is because you go from I'm blindfolded and I don't know what to do to not only do I know what the target is, but I also know the road to take to hit that target. Like you have everything written out in front of you when you start setting goals. And so that was one of the biggest inflection points, because once you have goals, you have a path that you can follow. Imagine trying to go to a GPS and be like, okay, take me somewhere. Where? I don't know, just take me somewhere. And it's like, that's how life is. It's like, if you don't have a end destination, then how do you know how to get there? The GPS does not just give you a random location. It's like, no, you put in the location, you put in the target, you put in the destination, and you will find the best path to go about it. You want to make money? Okay, how? And then you start developing the plan. You want to become a successful trader? Okay, how? And you start developing the plan. Okay, I want to be a funded trader. Okay, how? I start to develop a plan. Like this whole journey is pointless if you don't have an end destination. You need to understand this. And one of the things that I feel like I need to do now, and I want to do it for the last 2 days, it's like I've kind of lost this path once again, because I've reached one of the destinations that I wanted to reach. And so what ends up happening is like people lose sight of what they want to do, the bigger picture, because they just achieved 5 goals that they wanted to achieve. And so that's one of the things that I personally need to do again. It's like finally look for a path once again. But yeah, that goal setting, like I'm not even going to say any big shifts, because it was like losing the cult mentality and the goal setting that was the biggest shifts in my life. And then also being able to expand my network. That was the most recent biggest shift, because now not only do I have the living proof that I can do this through my profitability, but I also have friends that do this day in and day out. I felt this in Miami when I went there, that all of a sudden I was trading much better. I didn't care that much about risk anymore, because I was brought into new levels that were presented to me by my network. And so yeah, that was definitely those were the biggest inflection points in my life and trading in general.
Yeah, 100%, bro. For me, it was the same thing in terms of networking. Like that was the biggest thing for me as well. I think you kind of like do years worth of development in a very small space of time when you start networking with people that have, firstly doing things differently, but potentially are also on a whole new level to you. And for me, it was the same, but it also psychologically, it's what it does to you. Like you said, you weren't as worried about risk and all those kinds of things, because I mean, you've seen other people do it. There's one thing of knowing that, yeah, maybe there are people that are doing it, but when you see them and you speak to them and you see the proof with your own eyes, it's not just rumors that you've heard. It completely changes your mentality, like massively. So you'd say that a huge inflection point for you, right, would have been like going to FX Summit in Miami, right? Like,
yeah.
How was that? How did it change you? Like you said, you met a whole bunch of people. I mean, you hang out with some of the biggest trading influencers out there. Like, how did it change the way that you see the markets? And not only that, like you said, you recently reached, a whole bunch of your goals. And I've gone through that recently as well, where for me, in terms of, obviously this is a money game, right? There are goals that you want to hit. There are certain things you want to reach. There are certain numbers you want to reach. And once you reach them, you kind of start to become a little complacent. Like, how did you manage to, firstly, obviously, how was FX Summit in Miami? But also, do you think that part of that was what got you to a point of, hey, maybe I've gotten to this level of where I've always wanted to be, and now what's next,
Yeah, I think this can tie in one with the other quite well, which is one of the questions is, I guess, how to not get complacent, and the other one is about Miami. And I think that one of the questions that I took to Miami was, how do I not get complacent? And I was constantly being told, like, you need to think bigger. You just need to think more about bigger things. And this is where I understood, okay, there's a whole new plethora of opportunity out there, and I want to tap into that opportunity. And being exposed to these people that were making way much more money than me was like, oh, okay, there's levels to this game. There's levels to the prop firm. There's levels to prop firms. There's levels to trading. There's levels to business. And all this just opened up so many new ideas in my mind that I was like, okay, so now I just need to think bigger. But I now have this opportunity to be like, okay, what can I aim for? Because before, maybe my aim was 1 million in funding. But now I'm thinking, okay, I can go the hedge fund route. Who knows? Like in the future, if I know enough people and I have enough investment, I could go the hedge fund route. Like I can open up a new business. Like there's so many things that you can do from trading and knowing the right people by thinking big enough that I simply understood that, okay, there's levels, and which means that I now have new targets that I can reach, new paths that I can take. And so the way that I stopped getting complacent was getting more to do, because that's one of the things, like, okay, you've just achieved a big goal. Good. Now aim higher. Aim higher, and that will make you, once again, get out of bed because there's a goal you want to reach. And so that's what I personally did to stop getting complacent, because in the beginning of the year that did happen, and now it's just going into new levels. Like I've understood what levels I want to reach, and now it's all about just do them consistently every single day. And that's my aim. It's like, okay, have I reached consistency? I think consistency is something that you constantly have to work on. Have you reached 1 million in funding? Sure. But there's levels. Like you can get to 2, you can get to 3. Be happy with where you're at now, but there's bigger levels that you can reach, and that's what I'm aiming for right now, to stop getting complacent and learning more every single day. And yeah, that's what I did.
Do you think that being at FX Summit and meeting those people made you realize that what those other levels look like, right?
Yeah.
So you really think that, in terms of your journey, it kind of allows you to mentally picture where you want to be, because you've met other people that are potentially where you want to be as well. And I think it's dangerous because, for some of us, for example, like, I mean, you're in Portugal and I'm in South Africa. So that's a whole different level of, hey, you don't need to achieve a whole bunch. You're not necessarily surrounded by people who are insanely wealthy necessarily. And, it's harder to be in those circles of traders, obviously, that are doing what you want to do. And you kind of get to a point of, hey, I've been super successful. Like I've achieved all of this stuff. Like, maybe it's time to just slow down a little. But I think in your case, like going to FX Summit and, networking with all of those people just absolutely potentially gave you a whole new target to reach. And I think that that's really, really important. So yeah, I think in terms of your journey, do you really think that, like you said, was that like your remedy to the problem you had?
Yeah, there's a metaphor that I love to use, which is, for example, you don't know what you don't know, right? So if I tell you that in my studio right here, of what you can see, there is a speaker, a JB, whatever. There's a speaker, that you can put music on. You've probably never thought about it, but it's right there. But if I were to tell you there is a speaker right here, find it, what is going to happen? You're going to be like, oh, okay, there's the speaker. So what do I mean with this? It's that since you don't know what you don't know what you're looking for. So if in your perspective, people told you you can get 1 million in funding, then you're like, yeah, I can get 1 million in funding, and you work towards that. But what if I tell you that there's a whole new level to it, and you can become a hedge fund manager, that you can manage private investors of like $10 million? Then all of a sudden a new perspective opens up. And you're like, oh, there's a speaker. There's the new opportunity. There's the new levels. If you haven't been exposed to the new levels, how do you know that they exist? That's why social media is powerful. That's why meeting new people is powerful. And meeting people is more powerful than social media because you get to see people in those levels. It's not just, oh, this level exists. It's like, no, this level not only exists, but I'm in this level. And so having this opportunity of being exposed to these levels by people that I met, I was like, oh, there you go. And that was the biggest shift. It was, once again, knowing that there's speakers around here, knowing that there are new levels, being exposed to these new levels. Now I can reach them. Now I know they exist. And so that's how you get into these new levels.
It's also a thing of like visualization. I mean, if you don't know what it looks like, how are you going to find it? And if you literally spend a whole bunch of time surrounding yourself with it, then hey, it becomes a lot more real. It becomes a lot more attainable. And for me, it was the same. Like, I was lucky enough to also meet people here in South Africa that are on a similar, business kind of journey, as well as, a few in the trading industry as well. And for me, that was a huge game changer for me. I was able to see, hey, like, having like the stuff that I dream of, like, it's not just a pipe dream. It's something that is like fully doable, and you don't need to have like some kind of connection, or like, you can just work hard and make it happen. And that's another thing. Like, I've noticed a lot of people like that are successful in this industry have come from literally nothing. And I feel like the ones that don't come from nothing, they're very few and far between, because again, it's about the why. And if you don't start off with a motivation, which could be to potentially fill a lack of something that you had. For example, for me, it was, I always wanted to be financially free. I wanted to be financially stable. I didn't want to have to worry about money, because for me, a lot of my earlier life was was where I faced a lot of financial trouble, and my family did, and it caused a lot of unhappiness and stress for us. So for me, it was a thing of, I never want to have that again. So I had this thing chasing me, and also obviously me working in like really rubbish jobs had me chasing me. And obviously I still had that goal. And obviously once I had gotten out of that danger zone and I was financially free to some extent, you need to also have the next level. And you need to have the dream, which is like the extra stuff, and once you've seen it, you can visualize it. It makes it so much more attainable, because if you put it on a pedestal and you don't know how to get to that pedestal, and it's more of a dream, but surrounding yourself with it stops it from being a dream and starts making your mind actually materialize these things. And I think that that's like a huge hack. But that being said, not everybody has access to that.
Yeah.
I think as well, in terms of my trading journey, one of the biggest inflection points for me, going back to inflection points, is prop trading. I think I started off before prop trading was a thing. I mean, maybe it was. I think FTMO was maybe around then. But for me, prop trading completely changed everything, because, you're not trying to create something huge out of something little. You're just going for small percentages, and that's super doable, right? Did you feel the same in your journey? How did your prop trading journey start? And like, I'm not sure if it was the same for you, but I was lucky in terms of I was at the exact right point when prop trading came around. I knew that it was easy to make not easy, but I knew that I could make a few percent a month and be consistent. Was it the same for you, or did you have to go through the whole thing of blowing a ton of accounts first?
Yeah, I was lucky in the sense that the first year that I was trading, I didn't even think about prop firms. And it was only in the second community that I got exposed into prop firms and the possibility of making a lot of money from like a $500 investment. And And at first, I went through the route of blowing accounts. Like I blew, it wasn't a lot because I was always very conscious of the money that I was spending. Like I didn't want to spend $500 if I knew that the risk of me losing it was high. I'm always very conservative with money. And because of that, I didn't blow many accounts. I blew 2, and then I took almost like 6 months off of taking another challenge. And then I started another one, passed, failed again, whatever. Always this cycle of passing and then failing the funded, passing and failing the funded. And there came a point where I was finally able to make consistent withdrawals from it, which was, well, the good part of the prop journey. But I was also lucky in the sense that I didn't come into trading with prop firms in mind, which I think is what a lot of people do now. It's like they come into prop firms, they come into trading, and they're like, I want to do prop firms. Some people just come into trading because of prop firms. Like I have a lot of friends that are thinking of starting to trade because of prop firms, and I'm like, dude, it's not that easy, because if you don't people think that they can simply trade for 2 months and then go for a prop firm challenge. It's like, no, you're going to get burned more than you're not. And this is where I go down to, listen, you'll have to do this probably for like a couple of years, and people just don't understand it, that you'll have to do it for a couple of years until you are actually successful with it. And yeah, I was lucky in the sense, and now prop firms are a blessing. But for a lot of people, prop firms are not a blessing. They are actually the opposite of it, because prop firms can easily become a gambling method, yeah, to basically fulfill this gambling need that people have. And yeah, like I normally compare prop firms with poker, which is like 5% of people are going to make money from the 95% of people that lose. And it's like, if you look at poker, the money that you make, the money that is made is normally like a funnel. Like you can be a beginner and make money, and you'll be making money from other beginners, but given enough time of hands, the money boils down into the 5% of people that actually know what they're doing. And so trading is the same thing. You may make money, sure, but eventually you're paying for the profitable traders through your fees or whatever it is that you're doing in trading. And so yeah, I think it can be a blessing. It was a blessing for me, but it can also be very detrimental for people's trading journey.
Yeah, I guess it also just boils down to the fact that, trading at the end of the day is just literally like transfer of wealth, and it's no different for prop firms, because you are relying on that prop firm to make money off of those fees to pay you.
Yeah.
I mean, if that prop firm isn't profitable, how are you going to, as a profitable trader, get paid? Because there are people that are consistently profitable, and they are withdrawing from those prop firms consistently, taking a lot more than what they put in.
Yeah.
But obviously, the majority of traders are putting in way more than maybe if they never see any profit from it.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's potentially like predatory, or do you think that it's something that you can, obviously we know that you can make money from it, but how do you balance the fact that potentially it is like a predatory industry potentially, because you're relying on people losing so that you can win? And I guess it's the same as a B-book broker at the end of the day, in majority of the time. How do you feel about that, bro?
I've thought about that. There was a point where I was having like this kind of, how do you call it? These thoughts of, is this predatory or not? And I was like, is this aligned with my values? And I simply understood that the people on the other side, they don't care if I lose. They just don't fucking care. They just want your money. But I'm not being forced to taking any trades. When I lose, I wasn't forced to take that trade. It's everyone's decision to enter or exit in the market. And so what I've simply put into my head is that I just make money from me being disciplined. I make money from me putting the work in. And now, who do I take it from? It's like, I take it from the market, and no one is forced to trade the market. And so if someone was being forced, and like if everyone was being forced by gunpoint to buy a prop firm challenge, then I would feel bad. But since it's not, it's like, It's how business works. I've already went to the poker tables and I lost money. I won. I won a lot in the beginning, but now I kept going and I kept going. What happened? Now I'm negative. And it's like, do they care? They don't even think about it. Just like I wasn't thinking about the people that lost when I won 1,000 euros. They also don't care that I'm now negative. So it's like, because I wasn't forced to be there. So there's no conflicting beliefs now in my head, simply because it's a predatory industry, but the people that come in, they chose to be in this industry. So that's something to keep in mind if people are having this moral battle in their minds. It's like, no one is forced to do it, just like you are not forced to do it. And understand that when you lose money, no one is on the other side thinking, oh my god, maybe this person is not good now financially. It's like, people don't care. That's why you need to be on your A game every single time. You need to understand that the people that are getting your money, they don't care that you lost. And so if they don't care that you lost, then you better make sure that you are on your A game when you are coming into the market.
Right. It's interesting because, I mean, like you say, it's a predatory market at the end of the day to some degree. But I mean, you have to understand that in general, that's what trading is. I mean, there's winners and there's losers. It's the same, like you said, like poker. But in terms of prop trading, I don't think a lot of people understand how it works. And I mean, majority of people are still in that, mindset of, hey, like if I make money, the prop firm makes money. But obviously, in majority of cases, it's not necessarily like that. They are relying on the fees that you pay. Like, It's just a fact. It's a business. And a lot of people will try to blame many different things for that, for their downfall, which is what it always comes down to. The people that are like, hey, it's a predatory industry, they're just trying to make you fail, etc., etc., they're just trying to find a reason for why they were, not sufficient to make it, and it's like you said, nobody's putting a gun to your head to make you get involved. And it's more of, you need to have your own perception, your own opinion, make the decision and then own it. Like, if you decide to get into trading, if you decide to buy a massive prop firm account that is not in your budget and it's going to financially ruin you, that's on you, And I mean, I've been in that situation before. I bought a massive prop firm account that I couldn't afford at the time, and it messed me up psychologically. I still managed to actually get a withdrawal from it, but the point is that I stressed my balls off because I took that decision, and it paid off luckily, but in many cases it could have messed me up financially. And so, like you said, it is all about decisions. You are, benefiting from your good decisions, and other people are benefiting potentially from their bad decisions. So yeah, I think the prop firm space can either make you or break you in a lot of ways. And I think a lot of people, like you said, literally use it as a way to gamble because that's how it's set up. And so if you know what you're doing, and essentially it's like you were saying, it's essentially the house always wins in those scenarios, but there are people that do give themselves an edge. And it's almost like being a trader, our job is basically to count the cards. We're literally trying to get involved when the cards are in our favor, when we know that everything is stacked against the house more than it is stacked for us, And so I think that that's a really important way to look at it. And yeah, I feel like the prop firm industry as it is right now, there's so many new firms coming out, and there's so many new, dodgy ones as well. So if you could literally go back in time and give yourself a piece of advice from when you started trading, knowing what you know now, what advice would you give yourself?
The first advice would be, don't think that trading is going to be your main source of income. Most of the successful traders that have this FU approach to prop firms trading in general and whatsoever, most of the profitable traders have a side business. And I think that it would just remove so much pressure from me if I didn't have to perform. So in the beginning, I would definitely say, don't make trading your main source of income. Like, have something on the side, even if it's a job, to focus on trading. And then I would say it's like there's there's a big need for focus too. And these seem like two opposite suggestions. It's like, don't make it your main source of income, but focus a lot on it, because in trading in the beginning you need to go full force. And it's like, when you want to get the car going, the most amount of fuel you are going to use is in the beginning stages, where you are trying to make the car move. Anything, like, the most amount of energy that you need is to get something going. So in trading is going to be the same thing, but then it kind of just ends up running by itself. But if trading is your main thing, then understand that it's a big risk that you're taking. It can eventually pay off, but it is a big risk at the end of the day. So have something on the side, even if it's just a job, a degree that you can fall back on, whatever it is. I really do think that that's one of the things that people are not told in this day and age, of like, it's okay to have a 9 to 5, it's okay to have a side income, whatever it is. You don't have to go all in. So that's definitely what I would tell the old me. And then I would do the same that I've done until now, which is just be consistent, be disciplined, and show up every day, because eventually the returns will come from showing up every single day.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much for being on my little podcast. I really appreciate it, bro. I've been excited for this for such a long time, and I think it's been a really, really awesome time. So thank you so much, bro. Thanks for being here, man. So to everybody who's been watching, thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next podcast. If you haven't, please click the subscribe button down below. And if you want to see more videos just like this, and if you want to see more guests on the show, please comment down below who you would like to see. So till the next one, cheers everyone.